Hi everyone, it's Laura and I hope you're all doing well. So for those of y'all who are new to my channel, I am a registered dietitian and I'm all about helping you live a healthier life. So this video is dedicated to my future dietitians out there. So those of y'all who are interested in becoming a dietitian, I've compiled a list of my top tips. I am by no means the Bible on this. I don't know it all. This is just what has worked for me, and this worked for me to become a dietitian. And just to preface, I am going to be extremely honest, extremely blunt, and I'm not meaning to come across harsh. I'm just telling you how it is. And so if you're interested, then keep watching. So the first thing to consider when wanting to become a dietitian is whether or not you like science. And I shouldn't even use the word like, I should use the word love. You have to have a strong desire to want to study science, to become fully engulfed in all types of sciences, because in undergrad we take biology 1 and 2, anatomy and physiology 1 and 2, chemistry 1 and 2, we take organic chemistry, we take microbiology, we also take physics, and so, which I know is science, math-ish. But our entire profession is based on science, and it's based on scientific research. And so if you don't like science, if you don't like studying it, if you have no interest in learning about it, then I would strongly encourage you to consider a different profession. Because not only do you need to do your undergraduate degree, you also are required to do an internship afterwards in order to become a dietitian. And so in order to be accepted into these internships, they heavily look at GPA and GRE score. And so I'd recommend at the very least having a GPA of 3.0, ideally as high as possible, because you want to guarantee that after studying so hard, after spending 4 years of your life studying nutrition, that you're able to get one of these spots at an internship. And in order to do that, you're gonna have to study. And not saying that studying is gonna completely consume your entire college experience and you're not gonna have a life, because I had a life outside of school, but school was my #1 priority. Studying was my #1 priority. And if there were times that I didn't have to study, that week was pretty slow, then I was extremely social and I had fun and I fully enjoyed my college experience. And I made a lot of friends and I did a lot of things, but school was always my #1 priority. My next tip is to reach out to a local dietitian and ask if you can shadow her. So whether you're a high school student who's wanting to become a dietitian, or you are already in your schooling to become a dietitian and you're an undergrad, highly encourage you, reach out to a local dietitian, ask if you can shadow her. And this is important for a number of reasons. It helps you to solidify, okay, I do want to become a dietitian, I do want to work in a hospital, or I do want to become a dietitian, I don't want to work in a hospital, or I have no desire to become a dietitian. I know for me, when I was like 14 and 15, I told my parents that I wanted to be a NICU nurse. So I wanted to work with the little premature babies and be their nurse. I shadowed a NICU nurse and I could not do it. I knew right away it was too heartbreaking for me. It was too sad. I know there's a lot of rewarding moments in that profession, but I just knew it wasn't for me. And so I highly encourage you to shadow a dietitian to just make sure that this is for you. And also in shadowing a dietitian, you become not friends, but you become acquaintances with a dietitian, and she can be a resource for you. So if you're in high school, just contact her and say, hey, can I shadow you for an afternoon? If you're in undergrad, I would encourage you, this is what I did. I reached out to a local dietitian and I asked if I could shadow her for 20 hours over a 5-week period. And so every week I would spend 4 hours with her, and she worked in the hospital. And so not only did I get fully immersed in what she does, but also she was one of my references when I was applying for internships. My next piece of advice is to become friends with your advisor. And your advisor can become a huge resource, especially when applying to internships. I literally sat down with my advisor, we looked at my resume, we looked at my GPA, my GRE score, and I told her, I was like, I want to go to a good school and I'm willing to go anywhere. I don't care where it is. I just want it to be a place that is really going to challenge me, really going to push me, and where I'm gonna learn as much as possible. And it doesn't matter where in the world it is, literally. And she gave me a list of, based on my resume, she gave me a list of 4 schools that she thought I could get into, that she thought that I would enjoy going to, and that I would enjoy the experience and learn a lot. And those are I didn't even question it. Those are the ones I applied for. I was like, done. And so I strongly encourage you, become friends with your advisor. They have really good advice, because they're a good indicator of which types of internships you can get into. And listen to them, because they know what they're talking about. If you come and your GPA isn't as good, but you have really good volunteer experience, or you have a really strong work ethic, so you worked while in undergrad, then they're able to tell you, okay, these programs are able to tend to accept applicants that have a lower GPA but worked full-time while in school, or these applicants, they tend to accept these applicants that don't have as good of GRE score, but they have a better GPA score. And so they are a good resource. Become friends with them and use them, because they know what they're talking about. My next tip is to be nice to your fellow classmates. Because it's not a competition, you're all in it together, you are all going towards the same goal. So use them as resources, use them as study buddies, because there may be things that you didn't understand, but Anna understood, or she didn't understand, but you did, and you can bounce ideas off of each other and work together. If you hear that someone is saying false information in class right before a test, then correct them and say, actually, I don't think that that's fully right. My impression, and actually show them on the PowerPoint, I think this is actually what's right. And just be like, just looking out for you, girl. You know, it's not this huge competition, this like cutthroat thing, because your fellow classmates are going to be future dietitians as well. And so these are going to be the dietitians that you're working with throughout your career. And so it's important to build relationships with them, support them, become friends with them, use them as resources, use them as sources of support. Because a lot of times your other friends who aren't in the field of nutrition, or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, they don't understand what you're going through, but your fellow classmates do. So I highly encourage you, don't just walk into class like slump over, just like you hate the world or something, but like walk in and like sit down to people and be like, hey, how's it going? You know, just be nice and be friendly, because the world of nutrition is extremely small. The profession is extremely small. And so I guarantee one of your fellow classmates you're going to be working with at some point, you're going to need something from at some point, and vice versa. And so be nice. Next piece of advice, do not be scared to get a tutor. Do not be ashamed to get a tutor. Because I had a tutor for chemistry 2 and organic chem, and she is the only reason that I was successful in those classes. Literally, both classes, I didn't do well in my first 2 tests, and I'm like, Amy, I need you. And it's also, she was a good source of accountability for studying. Because I knew every Tuesday and Thursday I was meeting with Amy for an hour to go over what I didn't understand in my chemistry classes. And that's okay. It's okay to need a tutor. It's okay to use tutors in order to be successful in your classes, because we all learn in different ways. I'm an extremely auditory learner. So for me, I found that it was beneficial to not sit there and take down notes the whole time, because I wasn't retaining it. I'm not, you know how some people, they learn by just rewriting their notes? Like, that wasn't me at all. I learned by listening. And so I realized this probably later than I should have. But for me, what I would do is I would record the lectures on my phone, and then just listen to them over and over. And I had the PowerPoints, but I wasn't writing in class the whole time. I was looking at the professor and listening the whole time. And so I was able to communicate that with my tutor. And so when she retaught me, she would reteach me by verbalizing everything and by reteaching me everything verbally. And so I was able to learn and retain the knowledge. And so don't be scared of tutors. Don't think that it means that you're not smart enough. That's not it at all. We're not perfect in every area of science. So like for me, I was extremely good at anatomy and physiology and biology, but chemistry and organic chem, it just like didn't click. And so I needed some reinforcement for that, which is okay because I became a dietitian. I made it. And I had a tutor for 2 semesters, and I accredit me passing those classes because of her. Next tip is to volunteer in healthcare. So if at all, you can volunteer in a hospital, you can volunteer at a nursing home, at a retirement home, in the cafeteria at a school, in food service management. If you do have a job, a part-time job or a full-time job, highly encourage you to get that in food service. So being a waitress, a bartender, a hostess, something like that. Something that whenever internships read it, it has a correlation with nutrition or with food or with management or something like that. So for me, I worked actually not in an area of food and nutrition. And not that I think it hurt me, but I think it would have been more beneficial if I had been a hostess or something instead. But I did childcare, which has nothing to do with nutrition. But I also volunteered at a retirement home, and I did a Cooking with Laura class. I didn't do it all the time. I literally did it once a month for a year. And then I would also volunteer there and help set the tables. And I think I did that for like an hour to a week my last year in undergrad. So it's not like these activities have to take up your whole life and that you have to be so busy that you can't enjoy college. That's not it at all. It's just having these things that on your resume that show the internships that you can multitask, you're hardworking, and you're interested in the field of nutrition, and you're smart. You will be able to be a successful dietitian, be confident, and know what you're talking about. That's what they're looking for. So I strongly encourage you to, when you're going through this process, to keep an open mind. Because I thought when I started out that I wanted to work in pediatrics. I wanted to help children. And throughout the whole process, I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do, and that's okay. And not saying in 10 years I may decide I want to work with children, and that's okay. I can switch that way. That's what's another reason that being a dietitian is awesome, is when you're applying to jobs, they don't view your lack of experience in that specific area as a downfall. They just want experience in general. So the fact that I've been working as a dietitian for almost 5 years, whether I want to completely change my route, that's okay, because it's about the experience, not the specific type of job that you're working in, which is awesome. So yeah, anyways, I hope these tips helped y'all out. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below. Also, if you're a fellow dietitian and you have additional tips, then please leave them below as well. Like I said before, I'm not a know-it-all. I don't know everything. This is just what helped me get through the process and become a dietitian. If you're interested in becoming a dietitian and you're international, I'll leave a link for that below as well. If this is your second career and you already have a degree, I'll leave information for that as well below. I'll leave a bunch of links below for various resources that hopefully can answer any more of your questions. If not, please ask me. I'm here for y'all, and I'll be seeing you on in my next video. Bye. So my first tip is to focus on fiber. So foods that are high in fiber tend to be the healthiest. So instead of focusing on calories, instead of focusing on carbohydrates, fat, protein, and things like that, focus more on the fiber, and in doing so, you're consuming more nutrient-dense food.